What's up everybody, Soul here with another video for your viewing pleasure, and today we're going to be talking about Divinity Original Sin 2. I know a lot of people are booting this game up, everybody's stoked about the Divinity launch trailer from Larian Studios, and a lot of you are saying you're checking out this game for the first time, starting it up, and or are interested in doing so because you want to see what else Larian Studios has been doing other than Baldur's Gate 3. And rightfully so. What an amazing game. So I'm going to go over how to start a character with you so that you have no regrets and you get the best start possible depending on how you want to play. So first, when you click that story, you're going to get choices here, single, multiplayer, and then of course load your campaigns. We're going to click single player and talk about the difficulty levels. And so first up, when it comes to these difficulties, we have to acknowledge Explorer mode. So Explorer mode here, as you can see, is what is considered easy mode. Easy mode means that you, the player, will get a plus 80% HP and a plus 30% to your hit chance. NPCs will have a minus 50% to their HP and a minus 25% chance to their hit chance. Also, regular creatures don't have any crowd control spells such as like Charm, Mute, Freeze, Petrify, etc. Only bosses will have them. You can switch out of this mode at any time into a harder difficulty, which is Classic mode. Classic mode is your normal story mode in the game. Interestingly enough, the developers acknowledge that the game is pretty hard on its own, which I will confess, I believe it does have a decent amount of difficulty. And so you, the player, will get a bonus of 15% HP by choosing to play under normal mode. Otherwise, everything else is the same. Those creatures in the game will have additional or enhanced skills and abilities, including bosses. That all is pretty much just same normal, what you'd get out of normal mode. Nothing unique, nothing crazy, no enhanced AI, nothing like that. Just a normal experience. And so looking down here at Tactician mode, which is hard mode, this once again is, as I just said, hard mode. Things are going to get spicy here. Now in Tactician mode, you're going to have a plus 20% HP on your enemies, and then most creatures will have unique or extra abilities. No, I don't know about unique, but extra abilities, and that also includes bosses. So another thing about Tactician mode is once you choose it, you cannot switch out of it. You're not going back to normal mode or anything else. It's just Tactician mode. If you're really into the challenge, there is also honor mode, which means when your characters fall, it's no big deal, you can resurrect. But if all of your team falls and you get a wipe, the save file is gone. It gets hard knocked, deleted, goodbye. And so that is something that I can say with great confidence. Do not play Tactician mode unless you just feel incredibly confident in your ability as a strategist player or with somebody who has Divinity knowledge, Divinity Original Sin 2 in particular. With that said, the last mode is story mode, which is basically super easy mode. In this mode, your character will have a plus 100% to HP and damage, plus 50% to armor, like your physical armor and magical armor, and then you'll have bonuses to your hit chance and dodge. You will also have access to an unlimited revive, meaning you can just pick up characters, revive them, and keep on moving. All creatures, of course, will behave the same as they do in Explorer mode, as in they will not have AoE effects as far as those stats of crowd control. And yeah, you can also switch out of story mode into Explorer mode and so on. So these are all things to take note of. Enemies will also suffer some debuffs in this mode. They'll have a minus 40% to HP, a minus 50% to damage and their physical and magical armor, and then a minus 15% or so for their hit chance. Really important stuff there. And so yeah, just be aware. This is fantastic on Larian to allow us to play the game the way we want to. Whether it's you just want to experience the story and you don't really care for the fights, you can just one touch them pretty much and bop through everything with a really overpowered character and move right on. Tactician mode makes it brutal and grueling. Every little fight you're going to have to think about. There will be immense consequences if you don't. This is for somebody who really takes their time to study and analyze. Normal mode is for your normal player. Somebody who wants a challenge but doesn't want to be bogged down in regret for every decision they make. They want to make their mistakes, but also find ways to overcome it and still be challenged at the same time. This is a great choice for you. And then Explorer mode, which is like, you know, it's easier mode. Maybe you're new to tactical games, maybe you're learning the game in particular. Maybe you just want to get a fresh foot in and feel everything before you really challenge yourself. Whatever it is, it's your game. Play it your way. Easy mode is great, and it's a good way to move forward. We're going to click classic mode to get our begin on here. And so moving forward, let's check out how to build a character. So here we go. We've got the Red Prince, the first one on our screen, and so he is a quote-unquote set character, a story character that's in the game. That's important for a few reasons, because one of those being we're going to be able to play the story characters of the game, and in doing so we're going to have access to extra lore. That's the first thing you have to ask yourself. Do you want to have access to the extra lore or not? Because of course you can play custom characters where you get to choose your race, your appearance, and everything, and then set forward and play the game. And then one really big thing you get to choose is tags, which tags are very important things in the game. We'll discuss in greater detail later, but custom characters can pick any tag they want, whereas the set characters do not have that choice. They are hard locked into those tags, and so you will be limited in that way. Take note of that. That's just a little something extra to consider. All characters, no matter what you choose, can be customized as far as appearance. It really doesn't matter on that piece of it. You will not be able to change set characters' races, but custom characters, of course, you can pick whatever you want as far as that race. So let's take a look at these custom characters. Every custom character will have Dome of Protection. This is a filler spot ability that takes the space of what would be a unique ability on those set characters. So every character, as I said, gets this Dome of Protection when you're a custom character. The other ability you see here represents their race. And so let's look at the Dwarves first. Dwarves get access to Petrifying Touch. It turns a nearby target to stone, incapacitating it, dealing 6 to 7 earth damage. And then of course it has positives too, where it removes certain effects. And then yeah, it can be resisted by magical armor. They also get access to special talents. Sturdy gives you a plus 10% of maximum vitality and 5% to dodge. And then of course Dwarven Guile, which makes you more sneaky. You know, very nice there. Elves get access to Flesh Sacrifice. This is a very popular skill. Elves are a very popular race to choose because they have a very powerful ability and or talent. So this Flesh Sacrifice gains 1 action point immediately and then a 10% damage boost for 2 turns at the cost of 1 Constitution. Really good stuff. Any extra action points over your maximum, of course, are lost. And then you take a look at the talent. Talents are Corpse Eater. Corpse Eater lets you eat body parts to access memories of the dead. That sounds gross, and it doesn't sound that significant when you read it. But I want you to know that this has huge impacts on the game. You will get access to extra lore, so if that's important to you, you want to consider having this. You will find body parts throughout the game. You can munch on them to get all kinds of extra lore and content in that way. Also, by munching on a body part and gaining those memories, sometimes you'll get extra abilities. And abilities aren't necessarily cheap or easy to learn. Some are hard gated and difficult to find, and this gives you another way to learn them. With that said, you don't get to choose what abilities you learn. They're kind of set, and I don't have it all memorized. I don't want to go into great detail. It's a whole nother video on its own. That is an impact it has. It's a way to learn more abilities. And then you get access to Ancestral Knowledge, which gives you a +1 to Lore Master. We'll talk about what Lore Master does later. Next is the human. Humans gain Encourage, which of course raises your primary stats or attributes of all allies around you. This is a pretty great thing right here. They also have Ingenious, which gives you a 5% bonus to your critical chance and a 10% bonus to your critical multiplier, which is that damage. Really good stuff right there. That's a really powerful talent. Humans are a popular race too. And then of course they get thrifty, which gives you a +1 to bartering. Who doesn't love that? And then it comes the lizard race, which they get Dragon's Blaze. Breath flames in a cone, deals 4 to 5 fire damage, leaving a fire surface. Of course, that means it will be set on fire, it will be burning, and give people who are in it a burning debuff, or creatures that are in it, which of course can be resisted by magical armor. They get access to Sophisticated, which gives them a poison and fire resistance, and then Spell Song gives them a +1 to Persuasion. And then comes the undead, which you can choose the undead of all the different races, but the undead get access to Play Dead, which is an ability that allows you to basically lay on the ground and play dead. Very interesting skill right there, and can be a lot of fun to use and so on. However, they have a talent, Undead, which lets you heal from poison, but regular healing will damage you instead. That means that you cannot heal them with healing, restoring magic or healing potions. And yeah, they'll need to have poison to heal. They also, you will receive healing. I'm sorry, they will also receive the poison status even if they have magical armor, which is fantastic. So something to consider. If you're going to use an undead, you want to be careful to make sure that you're able to heal them. One thing that is not said about this that should be taken note of too is there is something in the game called Death Fog, and it will absolutely kill you the second you come into contact with it, just period, dot. That's what it does. These guys are immune to it. Take that for what it's worth. That is an extra benefit that's not made known on this screen. And then, of course, you have Sturdy, which we saw on the Dwarves, which gives you a +10% maximum vitality and +5% dodge. Pretty good for some bony guys. Now, let's talk about the set characters. We're going to talk about them. Their races and their racial abilities are pretty much the same, but they each get a unique ability. And then we're going to go over the different jobs and so on. So, Red Prince right here, he has the tags Scholar and Noble, and he will have Demonic Stare. So this drains 9 to 10 magical armor from the target and gives it to himself, restoring that magical armor equal to that damage dealt. Of course, this, like all of these special abilities, require a source point, something you won't have access to at the very beginning of the game. You'll have to progress a while before you get to utilize that. Take it for what it's worth, but that is what he gets access to. Then you have Sibyl. Sibyl has the tags Outlaw and Scholar. Then you get Break the Shackles, which removes the following negative statuses from yourself, which is listed right there. Very nice. Get out of jail free card for Sibyl, where she just sheds those status debuffs and moves right on with her bad self. Very nice there for Sibyl. Next is Ifan bin Mezd, and he arguably can have the worst unique skill unless you play to its strengths, which is summon the Ifan Soul Wolf. So, summons his trusty Soul Wolf, where the stats of the summons depend on the caster's level and summoning ability. We'll talk about abilities later, but if you don't increase his summoning ability, clearly this falls to the wayside and has limited use. Not saying it's not useful, but it has limited use in comparison to some of these other skills that these characters have. It also is very expensive at 3 AP and 1 source point. Let me just say that too. Moving on. Oh, his tags, by the way, he's an outlaw and a soldier. Moving right along, we have Beast. Beast has Blinding Squall. A storm approaches and strong winds rise. They blind and deal 7 to 8 air damage to the enemies in the target area. It sets blinded for 1 turn, but can be blocked by magical armor. So yeah, very interesting stuff right there. Nothing wrong with it. This is decent stuff from Beast. Which his tags we have to discuss as well. There's Barbarian and Noble. Gotta love that, right? What a dwarf. Barbarian, Noble. And then comes in Los. Los has Maddening Song. Sing, causing enemies in the target area to become mad. Maddened characters will attack those nearest them regardless of alignment. So they don't care who, they just go berserk and attack. But the only issue is it only lasts for 1 turn. That could be a big deal. That can be really good, but it is resisted by magical armor. Take it for what it's worth. You decide, yeah, this is something that feels like it would be great, but feels like it's just missing the mark in my opinion, but it's still not the worst. It's pretty decent. And then, of course, her tags are Jester Mystic. And then comes in our boy Fane, last but not least. And he's got Time Warp. Target a character. When this character ends a turn in combat, they immediately gain a free turn. So we got Zillion. For those who don't know, he just basically, he gives them an extra turn. Really, really nice stuff. I love this ability. It's one of my favorites personally. Yeah, really good stuff from Mr. Fane, but Mr. Fane is an undead, and so you've got to be cautious when you choose him. His tags are Mystic and Scholar. For the sake of character creation, we're going to stick with Mr. Fane from this point on, and yeah, I'm going to talk about the builds. Now down here you're going to see build presets. This is just a visualization of what these characters can do. You're going to basically have these presets. You can pick either any and all of them that you want. And then once you have chosen it, you will be able to edit and change them however you want. When it comes to playing this game and playing in particular ways, you can do what you want. It is a beautiful thing. So we're going to choose the pre-built Shadow Blade. Why not? Shadow Blade. We're going to go right over to appearance. Remember, all custom and or set characters, you can edit their appearance. There's nothing wrong with that. They all change however you want it. We can make Mr. Fane look however we want. We're going to keep Mr. Fane his good old regular self just for the sake of the video. And then we're going to come down here and we are looking at the preset now, as it is called. And so we see Shadow Blade is what we're on. You can change it again right here. And then you got your indication of your attributes, your abilities, and your skills. Let's talk about the attributes. Now, before we talk about attributes, we have to talk about levels, and max level in particular. If you're anything like me, you're a planner, and you like to know what's going to happen, especially in this build-intensive game. And so, usually, a player who reaches the end of the game will be somewhere between level 21 and level 22. You do not have random encounters in this game. Once you have perceivably cleared all of the content, that's more or less your level. I do believe there's mods and things like that you can take advantage of. Maybe you can just go back through everything and just create mass genocide, whatever it might be. But more or less, without any additional aid or extras, your level is going to end around level 21, level 22. Your max stats or attributes will be 40. Your max combat abilities will be 10. Your max civil abilities will be 5. And then, of course, you'll get a few, and I do mean a few, talent points in between all of it. We'll discuss them one at a time. First are the attribute skills. Attribute skills largely are connected to a few things, but they are hard connected to weapons in particular. And so first you have strength, which increases strength-based weapons, and then of course your carry weight. So yeah, bear that in mind. Now your strength-based weapons are going to be your one-handed swords, axes, hammers, and maces, and your two-handed swords, axes, hammers, and maces. So any of your axe, hammers, maces, whether one-hand or two-hand, are going to be strength-based. The damage will scale off of that strength. Finesse is tied to daggers, bows/crossbows, ranged items, as well as spears. So, and that of course means if you choose one of those weapons, the damage of those weapons will scale with the finesse of your character or that character. Intelligence, that is tied to wand or staves. So staves, if you will. So those two weapons are tied to the intelligence stat. Now we get down into these other stats who have different effects, which is constitution, which is tied to shields and scales with shields. However, otherwise, it adds 1 point to your, well, 7% of your vitality per 1 point added. Basically gives you more health. Long story boring. And it should be, you know, appreciated for that. Everybody loves a good healthy character, right? And everybody's going to need health, going to take hits, you name it. Play the game your way, explore some different things, but that's what Constitution does. And then there's memory. Memory is a really interesting one because you're going to unlock all kinds of abilities. The more you have in your arsenal, the more capable you are in any given scenario. So it always pays to be able to utilize a skill. Memory allows you to equip more skills, as it says. The more powerful skills cost more memory slots. So bear that in mind. You want to learn a ton of skills, you're going to need more memory. Having more memory means you get to have more skills in your arsenal and to utilize at any given point. It's really important. Does that mean you should invest all your points in memory? No, not in particular. Just pay attention. If you start to see that maybe you're fighting for space, throw a point or two into memory. And then wits. Wits affects your critical chance, your initiative, and your ability to detect traps and find hidden treasure. Now, to detect traps and hidden treasure, understand that's in the overworld while you're moving around, not when you're checking loot tables to find extra treasure. This is simply while you're moving around, certain points of interest, POIs, will become accessible to you based on your wits. Without wits, you won't be able to see them, notice them, and so you might not get to interact with them at all. This can be really important. Not to mention, critical chance and initiative are two very important stats, so I think everybody wants a little bit of wits. Some characters who have a lot of wits be really, really good in a playthrough, at least having one that way, in my opinion. With that said, that is a breakdown of your attribute points. Remember, the maximum attribute can be is 40. And so by the time you reach that max level, you'll have roughly 45 points to play with. You're going to be able to max out one of these stats very easily. And a lot of the equipment that you're finding and utilizing will have plenty of stats. They're going to find different stats on different equipment all the time, so you'll be able to pull an extra few points out of any given piece of equipment at any given point. Just bear all of that in mind. Let's go ahead and confirm this. Now let's talk about abilities. So I absolutely love the combat abilities. I love all the different things that are going to be happening here. We'll talk about civil abilities as well. And so first things first, we have to acknowledge that the max that a combat ability can be is 10, and then the max that a civil ability can be is 5. 80% or so of the abilities and skills you can learn in this game only require 1 to 2 points in any given combat ability. So if you want to have a character that literally does everything, you have a pretty good chance of doing that, as by the time you hit level 21, 22, you should have roughly 23 points at your disposal. So you'll be able to put a point or two pretty much wherever you want. So you can be great at all kinds of things or good at all kinds of things and master of none. It's just up to you. With that said, let's start by looking at warfare. Warfare deals increased physical damage by all weapons. Sorry. Any and all weapons that deal physical damage are getting a boost by or from warfare. Really, really good stuff there. And so whether you're hitting with a bow, you're hitting with an axe, hitting with a spear, all these things use different stats to increase their primary damage of that weapon, but warfare increases all of their damage, period, dot. Really, really good stuff there. Huntsman. Huntsman increases damage bonus when attacking from high ground. So a lot of people I know think because they're using a bow they have to have Huntsman, and it will increase their bow damage. No, it increases the damage from attacking from high ground. That's really important. If you have Huntsman and you attack from low ground, you're not getting the same benefit. So make sure you are aware of that. A lot of these skills also have bonus features, which I'm not going to get into, at different levels at different points. Just understand, the more you invest in a skill, obviously the better it does. Yeah. Next is Scoundrel. Increases your movement speed and boosts your critical modifier. As it says, level 1, +5 to critical modifier, plus 0.3 to movement speed. Basically makes you really quick and do a lot of damage in that way. Very, very nice right there. Pyrokinetic increases all fire damage you deal. So this is important. This includes your fire items and so on, the fire damage they deal. But this is a base requirement for fire magic. And so you need to make sure you have a point or two to invest in this if you plan on using any fire spells at the least. If you just want to go all out fire, not to drag Neil, by all means max this out and have a heyday. Hydro Sophist, as the same as fire, this is the equivalent for water. Increases, how much water damage you deal, as it says, and then also how much vitality you heal when using healing magic and or restoring magical armor. That's a nice little bonus it throws in there. So it's a really important thing right there. Arrow Thurge. So this increases all air damage. Who'd have thought? Geomancer increases all poison and earth damage you deal and any physical armor restoration you cause. That's a really big caveat right there. Then you have Necromancer. Heals you whenever you deal damage directly to vitality. So if you're hitting somebody and you're not hitting their magical damage, and you're not hitting their magical armor, or their physical armor, and you're dealing direct damage, you're going to heal off of it thanks to Necromancy. Really good stuff right there. Then is Summoning. This increases the vitality, damage, and physical armor, magical armor of your summons and totems, which are another form of summon. Of course, summons start with 10% more vitality and damage, physical armor, and magical armor. It's all scales, but long story boring, this impacts your summons. Who'd have thought? Polymorph. It provides 1 free attribute point per point invested. That's really, really big right there. And so Polymorph is really interesting. It is required for those polymorph skills, which we can look at and talk about later. But this is something that's really powerful and interesting. It's a great way to get some free attribute points. Polymorph skills are pretty interesting to let you do a wide array of different things in the game. Of course, then you've got your single hand, your weapons combat abilities. Single hand increases your damage with single-handed weapons. Two hand increases your damage with two-handed weapons. Ranged increases your damage with ranged weapons. And then dual wielding, which increases the damage and dodge when dual wielding two one-handed weapons. Really, really big right there. And then when you come on down here, you have your defense, you have retribution, reflects received damage to your attacker. That's really fun. Obviously great for your tanks. Definitely a great thing to have. Leadership grants dodging and resistance bonuses to all allies within an 8-meter radius. That's phenomenal. Really good thing right there. And then Perseverance. Perseverance restores magical armor after you recover from frozen stun, or restores physical armor after being knocked down and petrified. It's a little bit niche in my opinion, and so this is something you're not going to benefit from as much. I do think the probability of you getting knocked down is higher than any of these other stat debuffs on there, but that is purely an opinion. That is not necessarily fact, and either way, it's still a niche utility for a combat ability. With that said, that's how these all unroll. You will get just a few points to start, as you can see, 2. Of course, you can subtract them from what they're already preset, because remember, you're selecting those abilities and put them wherever you want. Play the game your way. Down here at civil abilities, you have, under craftsmanship, telekinesis. This allows you to move items telepathically regardless of weight. What you're doing per level of this is you're increasing the range in which you can do that. So it's 4 meters to start, and then each level up, it goes up higher to where you can do more and more, 8 meters, effectively doubling. This is pretty useful at times, but not always. A little niche just as the other. Next is Lore Master. Lore Master identifies enemies and allows you to identify items. Increasing Lore Master allows you to identify more and faster. To identify, use an identifying glass, select the item, blah, blah, blah. So, Lore Master is great. You're going to find items. You're going to want to identify them, so on and so forth. Lore Master is phenomenal for that. I highly recommend you have one person in your playthrough who is strong with Lore Master. Next is Nasty Deeds, where you have sneaking. Sneaking determines how well you can sneak without getting caught. Who'd have thought? And so, yeah, increases this ability, reduces the sight range of your opponents or NPCs, and it improves your movement speed while sneaking. Very decent stuff right there. Nothing wrong with sneaking. Lots of opportunities can be created, whether it's attacking or just trying to get items that wouldn't be accessible otherwise. Sneaking is pretty interesting stuff there. Thievery. Thievery improves your lockpicking and pickpocketing skills. 2 in 1, right, baby? To pick locks, use a lockpick or the context menu of a door container. To pickpocket, interact with the character while sneaking. So that's right, you sneak and you interact with the character, boom, you see it. Now, each level increases, of course, not only probability, but also weight. So, and the value of how much you can get away with. Really interesting stuff right there. Great to see. Coming on down to personality is bartering. Bartering improves your haggling skills. With each point invested, traders' items become cheaper and your items become more expensive to sell, that is. And so really good stuff there. It always pays to have one person to be a bartering specialist in the party. And then persuasion helps you convince characters to do your bidding in dialogues and increases how much a characters like you. Of course, this does impact your base interaction with characters. So when they first meet you, there's a value system. Whether they like you or not, you can gift characters to raise affinity and get better odds, better bartering scenarios, you name it. Bear that in mind, and persuasion gives you an edge on that. Also, that persuasion isn't limited to simply persuasion. You will have multiple ways to persuade people, whether it's wits and, strength, vitality, you name it. You'll have a multitude of ways to convince people through persuasion, and this affects them all. Really good stuff right here. Always pays to have one person really good with persuasion to do the talking. And then Lucky Charm. This is probably my favorite civil ability out of all of them. Lucky Charm increases the likelihood of finding an extra treasure whenever you loot it, wherever loot is stashed. So, opening a loot container in the game, you're going to find different loot. It is different each time. You never know what you're going to find. It's nice. I always enjoy that about the game. However, Lucky Charm adds a dice roll to where now you're going to be getting different things at different points. Sometimes just a regular barrel will now have something really great and rare in it. I love that. I absolutely love that. I can't stand when games have tons and tons of loot tables that don't equate to anything, and they more or less just punish you for taking the time to check and to explore. This game rewards you, especially with Lucky Charm, and so having that Lucky Charm is really important. It's doubly important, I used the word doubly by the way, doubly important because when you open a loot table in Divinity Original Sin 2, it's forever open. So when you go back and check that loot table again, it's not going to refresh, it's not going to change. So Lucky Charm gives you the probability of finding something extra, whereas you won't be able to go back and check again and find something different. That's really important. Getting the most out of our limited loot tables has a tremendous amount of value in my mind. Might not be that big of a deal to you. It's up to you. Of course, the higher level this is, the more probability that it happens, the likelihoodness of it. So yeah, you want this, in my opinion, on at least one of your characters who's opening boxes. I've played this in co-op, and it does matter who has it and in what proximity they are. They don't have to be the one per se to open the box, I believe. I'm not sure, but to fact check this, I believe they have to be in proximity. I'm sure one of you get down in the comments and let me know all about it. With that all said, now let's take a look at the skills. You are very limited to what skills you can choose, and of course they are based on the abilities you choose in your combat tree. So I'm not going to go too far into these. You can read these and check them out for yourselves and see all the different things they do. Just understand a lot of these skills scale off of those traits directly. Summoning is especially true for sure. Polymorph is a really interesting one. That one scales off of your strength, but not all of them will scale off of, say, intelligence and so on and so forth. So just bear that in mind. You get 3 choices. Some spells, in my opinion, do better than others. It's up to you. Let's say you go with Ranger. Personally, for me, I love the ability Haste. This gives you extra AP. This is a skill very much worth looking at and considering. I think it's very, very powerful. So haste is super duper great. And then of course peace of mind is really good because it removes a lot of those debuffs that you have to be worried about. So bear that in mind. Abilities, really great. Pin down, another really good one. Pick and choose, have fun with it. Check them all out. Another really great one, Battle Stomp, you name it. Play it your way, have fun. You're gonna have access to all these later anyways, so don't feel like you're pressured to pick the perfect thing right now. Just pick something that goes towards your playstyle, what you're trying to do. Now, let's talk about talent. So this is a really important part of building the characters, regardless whether you have your own set character you've chosen or custom character. This talent, these choices are huge. Some of them have really powerful effects. All of them, to be fair, are pretty great in their own way. I'm not discrediting any of them. I'm not going to say some are bad. I'm not going to say some are, this, that, and the third. I'm not doing that. I will say covering them is a whole nother video, but I will point out a few that I think are above the bar as far as exception, as far as being exceptional, actually. One of which is one that caters to a specific playstyle, and that's Lone Wolf. I know quite a few people, I've done so myself, who enjoy a Lone Wolf playthrough, which allow you to have one companion, but regardless, it has a prolific effect on your character, as it reads right here. Lone Wolves provides +2 max AP, +2 AP recovery, 30% vitality, 60% physical armor, 60% magical armor, and doubles the invested points and attributes up to a maximum of 40. So it doesn't give you a new maximum, but it doubles the value that you invest in that character. The same is true of combat abilities, with the exception of polymorph, and then up to a maximum of 10. While you are adventuring solo or with at most one companion, as I mentioned just a few seconds ago. This bonus is temporarily removed when there are more than 2 members in the current party. Whole play styles and playthroughs are catered around this. So maybe you don't prefer to have a group of 4. Maybe that's a little bit more than what you want to manage. Maybe you want to play with just one character. Maybe it's a challenge run. Maybe you prefer just playing with 2. Whatever the reason may be, this is phenomenal and really makes a difference. Now, if you have Lone Wolf and you have 4 people in your party, 3 people in your party, and one's just completely separated elsewhere on the map, it does not create an opportunity for that Lone Wolf to proc or to take effect. It's not a measure of distance, it's just a measure of literally who's in your party and not. So the second a third person's put in your party, regardless of place in the world, Lone Wolf goes. That makes sense. Just want to stress that. I know that a couple other games play it a little bit differently. Just want to make sure that that's understood. This is phenomenal. A lot of people love it. This is one that I could sincerely recommend. Another one that I would really recommend, make sure you have on someone in your party, is Pet Pal. Pet Pal simply enables you to talk to animals. And yes, in Divinity Original Sin 2, you're able to talk to animals and to great effect. It creates numerous opportunities, side story, lore, content, you name it. This is something that you just absolutely must have, in my opinion. Of course, it's not literal. You don't have to have it. The game works just fine without it, but you're just missing so much. So it's one that I highly, highly, highly recommend. Another one that I absolutely highly recommend is Torturer. Torturer is a fantastic talent, and what this does is it allows you to inflict debuffs on your opponents regardless of their armor or magic armor. That's important. You'll find, especially as you progress through the game further and further, characters have larger and larger magic armor pools and armor pools. It makes it hard to apply those debuffs, which can make a huge difference in the game. Just imagine how much a debuff helps in most games, but that you can't apply it until you chunk through a life bar or 2 before it takes effect. And at that point, arguably, it's far less effective. Not saying that's the case, but think about it. If you have to chunk through a third, or technically half, of somebody's life bar before you can start applying debuffs, why not just see the rest out without the debuffs? So Torturer allows that to just be thrown out the window. You can inflict those debuffs regardless of what magical and physical armor they have, so they don't have a defense against it, or at least one less defense. So this is a very, very good talent to have in your group. And then, of course, the last one I'm going to recommend, which they're all recommendable. Please to understand that. They're all recommendable. Executioner, all these are really good. But the last one I'm going to recommend is Opportunist. And so this is going to allow your character basically to get a free attack in if and when they leave or enter that character's proximity. Or I should say, just try to leave that character's proximity. So if they come through, they try to run by a character of yours with this talent, they're going to get a free hit in on them. If they're facing that character, they're locked in with that character, engaged, and they try to leave, then they're going to get a free hit in on them. It's really, really nice. This is something you absolutely want on your frontliners with, of course, that very, very powerful warfare trait. Or maybe some just two-hand, whatever skill trait you happen to begin, but your frontliners in particular, you absolutely want them to have it. So that's talents in a nutshell. They're all fantastic. Make sure you read through them. Pick what plays best for you in your playthrough. You know, Living Armor's a really good one too. There's just so many good ones. They're all really great in their own way. Some better than others, arguably, but I'm not debating that right now. Just find what works for you, and good luck. Don't be afraid to pick what you want, and understand that you will have the opportunity to believe. I believe to pick up 5 more through your playthrough. I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure it's like, maybe that's a little bit much. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But regardless, you'll have the opportunity to get more. I'm pretty sure it is 5 when you hit max level. But last time I'm going to say it. Pet Pal, highly, highly recommend. And it impacts your game right away the second you start. Last, but definitely not least, are the tags. Well, it's not last technically, but tags. And so tags, as you can see, is related to the origin of the character. And so if you have chosen to have a custom character, which I'm going to move to right now, you get to pick whatever tag you want. As we mentioned earlier in the video, this is important. This is important in more ways than most realize it, as it does make a few, except, you know, I'm going to say content. It makes some content more available. And so you want to make sure you take advantage of this. Arguably the 2 best tags to make sure that you have are Mystic and Scholar. These are going to create more opportunities for your character to become involved with and experience more lore and opportunities to get benefits. That's what I'm going to say. No spoilers. So these 2 are very good for that reason. Make sure you have them somewhere in your party. Otherwise, these are just dialogue choices that impact the game in various ways, allowing you to say various things at various points to various people. That's the best nondescript way I can really give it to you. Barbarian makes you very aggressive and hostile, and it often leads to confrontation. Jester is just that. It's comedy. It's humorous and sometimes very funny. So I would recommend it. This game loves its humor. Definitely worthwhile. Mystic, like I said, you perceive things from the realms. It's all red right there. Check it out. This one really creates some pretty decent opportunities and great lore. Noble is my least favorite. You're rich, you know it, and you act like it. If that's what you're trying to roleplay, by all means, have fun. I haven't really seen this yield a tremendous amount. And generally, yeah, I found it distasteful. Personally, Outlaw, you know, you're backhanded, you say some shiesty stuff. If that's the character you want to play as, by all means, utilize it. There's nothing wrong with it. Scholar, as it says, you love books and scrolls. They're dearest possession. And it creates a lot of different opportunities and really unlocks some content. More so than others. I'm telling you, Mystic and Scholar are killing it. And then Soldier, you're sincere, you're to the point, you speak with candor. It's fun and it's nice if that's the way you're trying to play, if that's how you're role-playing your character. But you get to choose these with the custom character only. Otherwise, with the set characters, they already have them and they're hard locked. There's no changing them. So just be aware of that in your playthrough. The last one, sincerely this time, is your instrument. And so a lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people don't realize what your instrument does, which it's not huge, and there might be more that I'm missing, but it picks your music. And you'll hear that often in combat and so on. And so let's say you get a kill, you'll hear a nice little chime. with that music. And so you pick which instrument you care to hear the most, and that will be the instrument that you see and hear and experience in your battle the most background music. This is just preference. So take your time, click through them, and decide which one you like, and kick it off. So, yeah. We're not going to do any start game. I don't want to give any spoilers or mess anything. The last thing I'm going to say is that if you are picking one of the set characters, you can click Origin at the top, and of course it'll show a little cutscene where it gives you a little act and they talk.
I was just thinking about someone I used to know.
And it gives you some good insight as to who they are if you're trying to decide who you want to play. Very, very nice touch there from Larian Studios. That's it. I hope that this video is an asset to you and it's helped you. If you're someone who's like me, who overthinks things, you're not sure how to start. That's why I made this video. I want to make sure that people are informed and know what they're getting into when they make the decision to play this game, and they're trying to figure out how they want to build and construct their party or their character's playthrough. Maybe you just want to RP and you want to make sure you do so to the best of your ability, whatever it may be. This hopefully will give you a good outline as to what to expect, how it will impact your gameplay, so that you can have confidence in the decisions that you are making. Huge shout out and thank you to my soldiers. I'm deeply appreciative of y'all. You boys and girls are the ones that allow me to make the content to the degree that I do, and I'm so grateful for you because of it. If you too want to support the channel, make sure you check out down below. We've got Patreon, you've got YouTube members, and Ko-Fi. I'll be absolutely stoked to have your support. It means the world to me. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time, guys, I will catch y'all later. Bye.